Welcome to our classroom. What are we learning about?
Yeah, they're pretty loud today. All right, homework, get it out.
Mr. C, can you swallow a razor? Can you swallow a razor without dying?
Probably not.
No, it's gonna cause you.
You do not want to do that. All right, time out. Let's get things going. Jasmine, wherever you got, put it away. Noah, hoodie off, please.
So what if you did your key? So
You can't swallow a razor. It's not gonna shake it.
Okay, I'm gonna quickly go to my house.
All right, time out.
no, I'm home.
Okay, I'm Mr. C. Glad to meet you.
Hey, Mr. Chartier.
Good morning.
Who's that?
It's Jaden. All right,
I'm in Arizona.
Jaden, hold on. Please. All right, hoodie. Okay, let's get back to focus so we can get things going here. All right, any questions on homework? What's your stem and leaf plot? Stem and leaf plots.
Yes, I just had to do
You had 8 of these to do. I said it would take you, Josh, hoodie. You had 8 of these to do. I said it would take you about 10 minutes. If you're quick with these, the longest process is to put them in order from least to greatest, but to actually make the stem and leaf plot, it's not a big deal. Question? Hey, I cannot teach this class if you guys are talking, right? We have to calm down. Pierce?
With the step with the key, we could have picked any.
You can. Any number inside of your stem and leaf plot is an option for your key, right? I always pick the bottom one, the one that's closest to the vertical line, but that's just me. You can pick any one. All right. Since every single person, I got to grade everyone's, I can't call out an answer to a stem and leaf plot. Then we're just going to turn in our homework. So Pierce is coming around to collect your homework. I am going to give you a quick warning. Hey, today we're going to do something that's not impossible. It doesn't even approach medium challenge. But let me talk, please. We're not even going to do something that approaches medium challenge. However, for anyone that is not paying attention or making an effort, this is impossible. Meaning that you have to make an effort of understanding, and you have to make an effort of attempting to do the work so that you can generate questions. Meaning, as I'm teaching this to you, you're obviously probably going to have some questions. You got to trust me when I say this is not hard. This is not even medium. This is a little bit less than me. Somewhere between easy and medium is where I would say this is. But this is brand new. You've never done it before. You've probably never even seen this before. You haven't seen a box and whiskers plot. You certainly haven't. If you haven't seen a stem and leaf plot, you certainly haven't seen what we're about to do today. Okay. So with that, we're going to get going. Thank you. I would absolutely, positively not attempt to do this until we've at least completed 2 of these. Once you've seen 2 of these, you'll kind of get it. All right. You've seen this a bunch of times. Just so you know, I was told that I could be completely incorrect, but I was told yesterday that field day is moved to the Wednesday because of rain. Yeah. I haven't shown it yet. Okay, here's your homework. Copy down. There are only 4 of these to do. It's not because they take 10 minutes apiece. They don't. Box and whiskers take, I don't know, somewhere between 1 and 5 minutes. For the people that are really quick, this is like a 1-minute deal. For the people that have to think through all the process, read the instructions, that's fine. It's somewhere more than a minute, but it's certainly less than 5. Meaning if I only give you 4, that's at max 20 minutes worth of homework. Some of you are going to get it done in under 5 minutes because it's literally that easy. Okay. But others of you, because you know you have to think, process through, you have to read the instructions, it's going to take you a little bit of time. But I would guess none of you will take 20 minutes to do this homework unless you're distracted. All right. Keys to doing something brand new in math is one, that you're paying attention, which at least a couple people are not. Two is that you attempt to do the work. When I say, hey, do the step, you do the step. And then three, probably the most important thing is when you're attempting that step, you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. You ask that question. Wait, what am I doing here? Help me out. You sit there, you do nothing. Well, there's a reason why you're clueless. You're not asking the question. Make sure you ask the question. Everybody ready? All right, here we go. So it is literally called a box and whiskers plot. Okay. We talked about graphs and plots, and I did say there was a difference. I just said in 7th grade, we don't tell you what the difference is. It's more of a high school, and it's not like, well, tell me now. I really can't because it's complicated. But there is a difference between graphs and plots. But for a 7th grader, if you want to think about graphs and plots as the same thing, you can't, because for the things that we're going to see, we're not going to see the differences until you get to high school. All right, both graphs and plots are a visual method to compare and evaluate data. In other words, we take these string of seemingly random numbers, we organize them, and we put them in a visual form. We've learned box plots, we've learned line plots, and now yesterday we learned stem and leaf plots. Today we learn a third plot. I should say bar graphs, not bar plots. Bar graphs. We learn our third one, which is called the box and whiskers plot. Okay, so box and whiskers plot is, I'm not going to have you write down the definition, is a plot, not a graph. It's a plot that displays the distribution of the data along a number line. So you can kind of, I mean, Pierce is already looking at it, right? There's a number line involved. And that's actually the hardest part, is to make the number line. And literally, it's the hardest part of the entire process, making the number line. It'll be where you put your most work involved. Not because it's complicated, just because you got to put the right number of tick marks. There's a box and whiskers plot right there. It is called a box and whiskers plot because it has both a box and it has plural whiskers. All right, you got to stretch your imagination for this. By the way, this is the worst entitled math concept there is. A box is 3-dimensional. A box is a rectangular prism. Here's a box, rectangular prism. That's not a box. That's should be called a rectangular whiskers plot. I have no idea why they call it a box and whiskers plot. Somebody messed up math-wise. This has bothered me since I learned it, and I didn't learn in 7th grade. I learned in 8th grade. Bothered me since 8th grade. They call it a box and whiskers plot. But most people don't get bothered by that kind of stuff, and I'm sure most of you won't as well. But if you are, well, there we go. We verbalized it. It's called a box and whiskers plot. You will have a box, and you will have these two things that extend from the box. Those are called the whiskers. You also get this other line. Now, they colored their lines. You don't have to color your lines. You also get this one extra little tick mark. We'll talk about that here in a second. So in box number 1, we're just going to label the parts. First off, that's the box. You're like, well, do I need to write that down? You do, because we'll be talking about the box.
The box.
Okay? Or the rectangle, more appropriate, right? The things that extend outwards from the box, those are called the whiskers. And then obviously you have the number line. Those are the 3 main things. Notice it doesn't have a title. It probably should. It's not labeled. It means a whole lot of nothing without a label.
Mr. Chartier.
Okay, is it about this? Okay. Box and whiskers plot. Today you're going to see 4. Together we're going to make 3 of them. You're going to see me make 1, and then together we're going to make 3 of them. Hopefully by the 3rd one, everyone nods their head and says, yeah, I got this. It's not too bad. Yeah.
What did the numbers show?
Well, that's what we got to talk about.
And why is there like a little dash in the box?
And that's what we got to talk about.
And why does the whiskers?
Okay, I'm going to say the same response. All right.
That's what we're gonna talk about.
I do want you to notice that on this particular one, the whiskers are not the same length. The little red line is not in the center of the box. Some box and whiskers they are, and some they aren't. Okay. So box number 2, the box and whiskers plot. Don't write this down yet. We're going to talk about something called quartiles. Anybody want to take a guess? Quartiles? Yeah.
Or kitchen tile.
Something's broken up into 4 parts. Now here's the big, okay, we got to wrap our head around it. It's 4 equal parts. A box and whiskers plot separates things, are you listening? Into 4 equal parts. It will never look like 4 equal parts. Listen to what I'm saying. The box and whiskers plot will almost never, there are a couple that they do, but almost never will it visually look like it breaks it up into 4 equal parts. A box and whiskers actually breaks things into 4 equal parts, quartiles. Okay? We think about a whole. If I want to make things into 4 parts equally, what do I got to do first?
Think about it.
If I want to break something into 4 equal parts, and I start with a whole, what do I got to do first?
You pick up your knife and you cut.
Cut it in half. If I cut it in half, right, this would be the length of it. If I cut it in half, I've made 2 equal parts. Then I cut the greens in half, and I make my first equal part. All right. On your box and whisker plot, I said that the box and whisker plot breaks things into 4 equal parts. Now I'm going to show you where the 4 equal parts are. You see the whisker right here?
Yeah.
From the whisker to the start of the box label is your first quartile. There is your first quartile. We will abbreviate quartile. That seems like a long word to write. We will abbreviate quartile, take a guess,
FQ.
as a Q. So we're going to call the first quartile FQ? No.
First.
We're going to call it Q1. So we're going to call the first quartile Q1. You're like, no, why not 1Q? Oh, now I get where you get your F from. Okay, that makes sense now. Okay. What is he trying to make? No, it makes sense now. I didn't even notice that. All right, anybody want to take a guess where the second quartile is? What do you got, Ace?
Second quartile is where the next. Wait, like where do you want me to?
Yeah, where would it be on my box? Where's my second quartile? If that's the first quartile, where's the second one? What's the next one? The what? Yeah, but where on my box and whiskers plot is the second quartile?
The line.
Okay, anybody else want to take a guess? What do you got?
The first blue section.
Ooh, come on.
The first blue section. So in other words, from the start of the box to this first tick mark, and we got a big problem. Guess what the big problem looks like? It looks like it's larger than the first. It's not.
I guess.
Okay. It is the same size. And you're like, no, it's not. And that's the thing about box and whiskers plot is it is. Even though it's visually larger, this is one example, right? Turns out the second quartile is exactly the same size as the first quartile. Okay. So the second quartile, we will abbreviate Q2, goes from here to this tick mark right here. There's Q2. I'm like, no, it's not. It's way bigger than quartile. Well, it turns out it's the same size. And I'll explain it at the very end. Where's third quartile? What?
From the line of the second quartile to the end of the box.
From this tick mark right here to the end of the box is your third quartile. Where's the last quartile?
It's right here. This is
Ooh, right next to the third quartile.
It is the whisker on the right is your fourth quartile. Now notice in blue, because I got it from the green, I made my blue boxes exactly the same size. But as we look at our box and whisker plot, they're not the same size. So we better answer that question. Okay. I'm going to give you a data set. Just a string of numbers. And my data set is going to have 8 numbers in it. I don't know what the 8 numbers are, but there's 8 numbers. You know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 10, 20, 30, 40, or whatever. You got 8 numbers. A box and whisker plot separates the numbers into 4 equal parts. So how many numbers go into my first quartile?
1 and 2.
We don't know what the numbers are, but there are 2 numbers right there. Guess how many numbers are right here?
10.
You're like, well, why is the box or the box of Whiskers plot such a strange size? Because they're actual numbers. In other words, now we're going to write some numbers. Maybe the first number is 1, and the second number is 3, but the next number is not 5, it's 7. And then the next number is 9. Do this right. Now let's make the next number 8. And then let's make the last number 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 12 numbers now, right? We got to break them up into 4 equal parts. Here's your first 2 numbers. Here's your second 2 numbers. Here's your third 2 numbers. Here's your fourth 2 numbers. We got to put those on a number line. Notice there's a big break between 3 and 7. That's why things can get stretched out. Things can get stretched out because the size of your box and Whiskers plot depends upon the numbers in your data set. But the big picture is how many numbers are inside the first quartile? A fourth of them. How many numbers in the second? A fourth of them, a fourth of them, a fourth of them. Yeah.
So basically, the larger the difference is,
The longer that either the whisker or that part of the box is, absolutely positively.
The bigger the difference is between the second number in the first set and the first number
You
in
got
the second set. Depends on how.
On the size of either what we're talking about, either the whisker or the first part of the box or the second part of the box or the third part of the box or the third whisker. So usually for 7th graders, that's the hardest concept to wrap your head around. The fact there's an equal number of numbers inside of each part, but the numbers can be wildly different from each other, and that's what stretches out those parts of the box and Whiskers plot. Okay, that's the whole concept.
Will it always be an odd number?
Who, if you're lucky, you want an even number that's divisible by 4. You want to know why? Because it makes the math really easy. Because you got to put a quarter in here, a quarter in here, a quarter in here, a quarter in here. So if you're lucky, yeah.
The same numbers.
What do you mean? Oh, yes. If you have repeats, like if you had a 1, 1, 1, 5, 7, 9, yeah, absolutely, positively. Guess what that does to the size of your part? If the numbers are all the same, it could be literally non-existent. Sometimes the whisker is that side right there. Go figure. Why are you not clicking? It's crazy. Doesn't like me. All right. First quartile, second quartile, third quartile, fourth quartile. All right. Making a box and Whiskers plot. The instructions are on each. I said we're going to do 3 of them. There's a fourth one that was just for thing. Well, I'll show you one and then we'll do 3 together. The instructions are on each one. Okay. There are the instructions. There are your instructions.
That's scary.
Looks complicated. I said this was what? Did I say this was hard?
No, you said it was.
I said it's somewhere between easy and medium. You're going to see that all that, oh, it looks like it must be. It's not. It's pretty simple. Okay. Don't focus on what it says yet.
No, but like,
Just because there's 6 steps doesn't mean it's challenging.
no, is there a Q4?
There is. Q4 is the 4th quartile. Okay, so here we go. Put your pencils down. Everybody watch me do one. We'll do 3 of them together, but watch me do the first one. You got to watch, though. And this is where you're stopping me if you're like, I don't know what's going on here. Okay. Step number 1, it says find Q2. Q2 is the median of the numbers, right? Q2 is going to be where we go back to here, right? Here's Q1. Here's Q2. Q2 ends right here. Oh, I'm giving it away right now. That's the median. That's going to be this red tick mark right here. It's going to be the median of your data. Okay. All right. So let's find that. How do you find a median?
Oh.
What?
You have to put the numbers in order.
The second hardest thing is it's back to, I'm going to put the numbers from least to greatest. So I'm going to put the numbers from least to greatest. So who can do that? 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Is that right?
No, it's 11, 10.
Okay. What's the check step so we don't screw this up?
1.
Make sure you count.
Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, cool. We got them all. Now, I could still mess it up by copying the numbers incorrectly, but at least you've attempted a check step. Okay, cool. What's the median? How do we do the median?
Have to check off the.
Oh, yeah. So we cross things off. Cross off the smallest, cross off the biggest, cross off the biggest, cross off the, well, you know what I mean. Cross off that. Oh, so the median is, we're going to label that Q2. Labeling that Q2. Okay. For those of you that are wondering, Q2 ends right smack there. So you just found that part of it, part of the box of whiskers right there. Okay, now comes the third hardest thing. The third hardest thing, and you're going to see it comes in a couple different flavors. This is the easy flavor. We got to find the median of the first half and the median of the second half. 8 is the median, but now we're going to find the median of the first half and the median of the second half. I just put a box around the first half. I think you can pretty much figure it out just by looking at it.
5 and 10.
Macy,
Why do you find the second quartile?
you're going to see why right now. Okay. I have to break things into quarters. Remember the slide I showed you, I don't know, 5 slides ago? How did I do that?
You have to cut it in half.
The first thing you did was take the whole, and what did I do? Oh, that's the median. And that's why we do that first. And then what did I do? I took these 2 parts and I cut them in half. That's what we're doing right now. Thank you. Very good. So Macy, what's the median of the first half? Here's the first half. I put a box around it. Here's the first half. Right here. What's the median? What? Yeah. Okay. And it says to label it. Put your glasses on. It says Q1.
Oh,
All right. It says Q1, so we're going to label that Q1. You got to stop me if you're lost. Malachi,
Question.
median.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Go.
so
oh.
how come you're saying median 1 and 2? Why not median 1 and 3? Because that's what it says in the yellow.
We're not there yet. We're only on step 2. Now we're on step 3. So step 3 says look at the second half. That's 9, 10, 11. Malachi, the median would be?
This is the last half.
Agreed. Last half or second half, hey, if we're talking about halves, second and last mean the same thing. Okay. Yes? So far, have we done anything that complicated?
Yeah.
Well, putting them in order from least to greatest, I would say, is the most complicated thing. Hey, we're done. Basically, that's it. That's the whole process. There's no more math involved. You just got to make a number line, and you got to transcribe what you just did onto the number line. Okay, you ready? Doesn't say it here. We got to make a number line. Our number line has to be able to include the smallest and the biggest number. So what's our number line going to go through?
3 and 11.
It has to at least go from 3 to 11. Abby, mask. Ben, mask.
Gary has
Josh, mask. Malachi, come on. I don't need to put out an invitation to each individual person. Mask on. Plus we're having visitors. Okay. I lost my train. Oh, number line. Our number line needs to at least go from 3 to 11. Does anybody want to make a number line from 3 to 11?
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
What's another option?
1
Give every number.
2 to 12.
2 to 12 would work. Go by 2s. What? 1 to 12 go by 1s. 0 to 15 go by 5s. Your option. 0 to 15 go by 1s. All of those are perfect options. But what you must do is you must create a number line that at least goes from 3 to 11. Otherwise, you can't fit the numbers on the number line. We okay with that? Well, I'm going to do mine really quickly. I literally went from 3, not because mine's better. 2 to 12 is probably, if I were doing it, I mean, I just had PowerPoint do it for me. 2 to 12 is a pretty good option. Okay, cool. This will take you the second longest thing is like, oh, I got to make a number line. And then you put tick mark, oh, I don't have enough tick marks, and you kind of squeeze them together, it messes up your race. That can take some time. The rest of the instructions right here tell you everything you need to do. So we left off on step 3. We're on step 4. Draw a number line that includes the Minimax. Done. 2 steps left. It says make your box from Q1 to Q3, it's labeled. It says make the box from Q1 to Q3. Well, what's Q1?
5,
What's Q3?
10.
So I need a box from 5 to 10. There, I did it. Okay. It says make whiskers. The whiskers will be the last number and the first number. So I need whiskers from 3 and 11. And then it says you need to do the median. What was the median? The median was Q2. You want to, instead of write median, you want to put Q2, do that. So Q2 was 8. And then I attached my 2 whiskers. My 2 whiskers were 3 and 11. You need to draw these parts of it well too. So attach your whiskers to the box. And you're done.
That's it.
That's it. That's a box of whiskers. You any numbers you want as long as it is able to include the minimum and the max. Okay, and the minimum and max are this number and this number.
Could you like just do it?
They do 4
Say and 19, maybe just 4, can you just add a 19?
Yeah, but remember, it's got to be proportionally spaced. So you can't go 10, 11, 19. You know what I'm saying? All right. I said we're going to do 3 of them. Grab your pencils. Let's do 3 of them. All right, this is box what, 3? I gave you plenty of space. Plenty of space. Box 3. Everybody see where we're at? Okay. Step number 1 is the hardest thing, but we got to find the median. That means we got to put the numbers from least to greatest. Grab your pencil, Josh. Least to greatest. Least to greatest. The smallest number there appears to be 4. Then 8. Correct me if I make a mistake. 10.
Yes.
What's the mistake?
No, I'm saying yes.
Oh, 11,
Yes.
12,
14,
14, 16,
19,
18, 19. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. I still could have made a mistake, but at least I tried not to make a mistake. That's actually, it takes longer to do that than it takes to make the number 1. Okay, we got to find the median. 12. We're labeled Q2. So cross out, cross out, cross out, cross out, cross out, cross out. Oh, he is correct. It is 12. That's the label 12, which is the median Q2. You're supposed to stop me if you're lost. You're just finding the median. Okay, if that's the median, this is the, remember I said these come in flavors. This is the ugly flavor. Well, there's your first half. There's your second half. Now, many people are looking at this. Well, that's not hard. Felicity, first half. What's the median? Where is she getting a 9 from? There's no 9 up there.
between the 8 and the 10.
Between the 8 and the 10. When you have an even, good job, Felicity. When you have an even number of numbers, remember the goal is you take the middle 2, add them together, divide by 2. So Q, and it says to label that Q1. So Q1 is 9. So Q1 is a 9. We good? Keegan, second half, what's the median?
15.
15? 15 would be right smack there.
Oh, 17.
17. Okay. So for those of you that understand, he's taking the middle 2 numbers, adding them together and dividing them by 2. We get 17. Yeah.
Can I blow my nose?
Sure. This is the only flavor that you actually, now I gave you friendlier numbers. Literally there's one number between them. It's easy to do even without adding together, divided by 2. If this had been a 19 instead of an 18, well, you're going to get a decimal number. Perfectly fine. You'd have to do 16 plus 19 divided by 2. Okay, hard work is over. We just got to make a number line. Macy, what's our number line going to go from?
It's going to go from 4 to 19.
Do you want to do one from 4 to 19? You want to make a different one? She's going to do 4 to 19. Am I going to do something else? What are you going to do?
I did 4 to 20.
4 to 20 go by 2s,
I just said
right?
I did 4 to 20.
4 to 20 go by 4s. Those are all perfectly fine answers. What would be a bad answer, Malachi? I'm going to go from
4 to 53.
Technically, that's a perfectly fine answer. The problem is you get all this dead space. It's not a great graph, but it is a correct graph. What would be a bad graph?
8 to
4 to
18.
18.
4 to 18, bad graph. 8 to 18, bad graph, because you can't put in 4.
What
on
about
either one.
10 to 16 or 14?
12 to 14 would be a really bad one, right?
18 to 16.
You have to, your number line has to at least be able to include all your numbers. So I went from 4 to 20, and I went by twos. I'm not saying that mine is better than yours. It's not. It's just that it's an option. Okay. Once you do a couple of these, this becomes very quickly done. The rest of it is you put a box from Q1 to Q3. So we need a box from Q1 to Q3. So wait, I've already forgotten the numbers. What was Q1?
9,
And what was Q3?
17.
So I need a box. And there's no 9 or 17 on my graph. So I'm kind of estimating.
We all cry.
Right.
No, we'll lay down and cry.
All right.
Yeah, we all cry.
The median was 12, so I put a tick mark on 12, and my two whiskers are the min and the max. My whiskers are 419. Connect my whiskers to the box, and you are done. And for a lot of people right now, you're like, I got it. This is easy. Get started on your homework. There's only 4 of them. For those you need to see it a couple more times, well, let's see it a couple more times. Any questions? All right.
Yes.
I can make this ugly simply by making the numbers larger. The process doesn't change. Yes.
Does it matter if you put the box
Above or below, doesn't matter. I've chosen below simply because of the way I set up my PowerPoint. If I had to take a guess, you read a box and whiskers in a book, I would say I've seen more times where they put the box and whiskers above the number line. I've also seen a book where they put the box and whiskers on the number line. I find that just a little bit messy.
We have to do it
The box and whiskers is the answer. So the question is, do you need to show this? Well, how are you going to get to the numbers if you don't actually do it? You know, this is one of those ones where you can't literally do the whole thing in your head. You can find one of the quartiles maybe. Like, remember, you got to put them from least to greatest in order to set that up. Okay. 2 more, and we're done.
Did they really put it in order for me?
Did they put it in order? No, the 303 is way over here.
No, they put it in order on here, on the homework.
Oh, yeah. If they did that for homework, then Merry Christmas.
Oh my God.
He says that one of the questions tonight for homework, they've already put them in order. All right.
1 and 2 is in order, but 3 and 4.
1 and 2 is in order, but 3 and 4. All right, guys, stop messing around. Back up here. Here we go. What's the smallest number? 303. You'll spend the most of your time just putting them in order from least to greatest. That's the step that takes the longest. So we got 303.
307.
Keep talking.
311.
Okay.
312. 314. And there's 2 314s. 315. 316. And
321.
I think that's it.
There's 2 316s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 3 314s. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yeah.
And you would have figured if you had done that check step, you would supposed to be. They're supposed to show up about. Well, they said they're going to show up to school at 4, 8, 10. Macy. Mask.
Yeah. COVID.
All right. Hardest step is over. Now we find step number 2, or step number 1 at the median. Well, step number 1 to find the median, you got to put them over for least greatest. Smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest. Hey, I don't know why, but I think I gave you an odd number for every one example. Just remember, you might have an even number to start with. If you have, look at the board here. If you have an, let's just pretend that this number doesn't exist, 321. If you have an even number, I did that wrong. That. So clearly it's 314. So the even number you're left right there. The problem is that for your box would include that number for your first half and your second half. So be ready for that.
It would just be 314.
Yeah. I'm sure one of the ones tonight for homework is like that. Okay. Well, we found out the 314 was the median.
Except the numbers aren't in order.
Say what?
Like on the bottom, like, it might not be the actual median because.
Yeah. Right. All right. This breaks it up into two parts. There's your first part. There's your second part. Find the median. Boom, boom. Oh, that's easy. 311 is Q1. Once you know what you're doing, this is a pretty speedy process. The other one, I can visually identify that. That's 316. Oh, man. I'm actually going to spend more time on this number line because they're triple digit numbers. What's my number line going to go from? I told 300, 325, go by fives, right? Let's see what I chose. I went by what, fours? Okay. Notice I'm going to have some dead space on mine because mine goes all the way up to 3. You want to know why I did this? Is because I just copied from the previous slide. I used the same number of tick marks and said, oh, I need to go by 4s or something. If I were really doing it, I'd probably go 300, 325, go by 5s. Like, wait, you are really doing it. You're the one that made the slides. Okay, true, but I get lazy sometimes.
Do you have every one of your math books PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Completely?
Yeah.
Dang, that's easy.
Well, it's not easy the first year, but the second year you teach it, then it is easy. But then the second year is when you find out, guess what?
New text.
No, that's the worst thing. You find out how many mistakes you made.
No, Mr. Cadnell.
But the third year, you look like a genius because all the kids, I mean, all right, I'll give you all my secrets here. The reason why I give you extra points is not because I'm being nice to you, it's because I want my slides to be perfect.
No, Mr.
So
Cadnell.
it's
You and Mr. Kendall.
Yeah, no, Mr.
yeah.
Cadell is happy because the other day
He teaches Latin. Who's going to know if his slides are right or wrong, though?
He just finished PowerPointing the entire text point like a couple months ago.
He literally could
I know.
say that mud is Latin for beautiful, and you'd be like, okay, mud. Oh, you're mud. You're mud. You're mud. I'm speaking
You're
Latin.
mud.
How would you know? The thing about math is, I mean, literally, even if you've never been taught something, when something doesn't make sense, like alarm bells go off in your head, like, what, that doesn't make any sense. Why is it like that? And you guys do a good job of asking questions like that. In Latin or even in science for some, well, maybe not science, because science got to make sense too, but Latin and language arts, what's a gerund phrase? What's a gerund phrase? Anybody know?
A phrase that Gerund made up.
You guys don't know about gerund phrases?
No.
Okay, you will.
Yeah, you want to know something?
Gerund phrase is where I believe it's where you make a verb a noun. So you talk about swimming, right? Swim is a verb, but if you talk about swimming, you're talking about the noun, the thing
Hey,
of.
Mr. Cadnello.
You're gonna have to yell louder if you want Mr. Calanella.
I meant to say Mr. Chardonnay, but then Mr. Cadnello came out.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your question, Jaden?
We're getting a bit off track.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, everybody be quiet. Hey, Jaden, you gotta talk a little bit slower. We can't hear you.
Or typed it in the chat.
I think we might be getting a little off track.
Okay, yes, we
From
do.
math to verbs.
Back up here. So the box goes from Q1 to Q3. We said Q1 was 311, Q3 was 316. Boy, that box is pretty small. And the reason why it's small is because I got all this dead space right here. If I had done a number line from 300 to 325, the box would be slightly larger than that. Q2, which is the median, so we need to put a tick mark on 312, I meant 314. And the whiskers are 321 and 303. Notice, like I said, I've got a whole bunch of dead space over here. There's your box of whiskers. Last one. I'm going to give you guys a 3-minute head start on box number 5. You can either do box number 5 or you can get started on your homework, your choice. But for those that are doing this, 3-minute head start, and then I'll walk you through it.
All right. Sounds.
Anybody lost like I am lost? I need help.
Lost.
You're in Colorado if you're lost.
I'm lost. Where in Colorado?
We are close to the middle of Colorado. Colorado is Spanish for
Colorado.
Color.
what color?
Wait, am I right?
Colorado for
Born.
Take a look at the mountains. What color are the mountains?
Blue.
Purple.
White.
Purple.
The mountains are made of red granite.
I said red.
Color Rado. Color red.
Yeah, that's
I don't know Spanish.
It's made of
purple, though.
No, I learned like Spanish.
I can translate. Mr. Catnell, have you ever wondered something?
That's still Mr. Chartier.
Oh, that's right. You're Mr. Chartier. Can I ask you a question?
No.
Did you already do this one?
Yes.
Meow.
Let me see.
Well, I haven't done it. I'm doing it.
Well, then why'd you say you had done it? Yeah. What's Mississippi then? Mississippi?
It's named after an Indian tribe. The Mississippians.
No, it's named after a river.
The river is named after the Indian tribe too.
I've been lied to my entire life.
What is the longest river in the United States? Nope.
The Amazon.
Nope.
The African River.
No.
The Missouri. The Missouri River is, I mean, it's really close. It's only a little bit larger than the Mississippi. They do a very poor job of teaching this in the United States, that everyone thinks the Mississippi River is the longest, but it's Colorado.
Just because the Mississippi River is the most famous.
And oh, by the way, guess what the Missouri River flows into? The Mississippi.
Oh, that makes no sense.
Makes no sense, does it?
So would the Mississippi
Dude,
River
I-
still be?
I like that argument, but
Dude, I wonder why they call
I'm
it
not a
river.
geographer, and apparently that's not a good argument. I'm like, well, if the Missouri flows into the Mississippi, does the Mississippi include the Missouri? And the answer is no.
Dude, I honestly wonder why they call it the Missouri.
I don't know what Missouri is named after. I assume it's an Indian tribe as well too, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Yeah. Here is an interesting fact.
There are no rats.
Here's a 7th grade fact. We live just about, I don't know, 60 miles away from the Continental Divide. The Continental Divide is literally the mountain range, the Rocky Mountains, separates the west from the east. You're like, wait, we live in the east? No, not really. But it separates the western half of the, not even half, but the western part of the United States from the eastern half. Any water that you spill anywhere, any liquid that you spill will all flow either, if we live on this side of the Continental Divide, will either flow into the Atlantic Ocean or it'll flow into the Gulf of Mexico. Most of the stuff anything you spill in where we live all goes to the Gulf of Mexico. But if you go 60 miles in that direction towards the mountains and you spill water, granted, it's probably going to evaporate, but you get the basic idea. Any water that flows on the other side of the Continental Divide all goes to the Pacific Ocean.
What?
So you stand at the Continental Divide with your water bottle and you pour this way, you're like, Pacific Ocean, Gulf of Mexico, Pacific Ocean, Gulf of Mexico.
Some for you.
Exactly.
You have to evenly water the flowers. Like
Evenly
this
water
case,
the
you have to
world.
evenly water the
Or do you have to evenly
I
water
could
the
just, I could literally walk 20 feet and I'd be looking at the
Probably not.
From where?
from Tampa.
From Tampa, yeah.
On McDill Air Force Station.
I've been there.
Literally on the water.
It is.
So
There are guys that literally that work there that they drive a boat to work. I have a friend who is a contractor there, and he lives in an apartment. So he gets out of his apartment, goes down to the dock, gets on a boat, drives to the other side of the bay, Tampa Bay, and then gets on a bike and rides his bike into work.
Or no, Florida in general. I like it.
If it wasn't for the bugs and the humidity, I'd love Florida.
Yeah, exactly.
Great place to visit.
That's literally the only thing I saw.
All right, let's finish this up. Your 3 minutes are up. All right, eyeballs on the board, mouse closed. The last one, I'm gonna do this one very quickly. The steps of creating a box and whiskers plot are step number 1, put them in order from least to greatest. The check step is you count the numbers and make sure the numbers, when you put them in least to greatest, matches your data set. Step number, the second half of step number 1 is to find the median. Cross off the smallest, cross off the biggest till you get to the middle number or the middle 2 numbers. If it's the middle 2 numbers, add those 2 numbers, divide by 2. We look at the first half, that doesn't include Q2. We look at the first half, the second half, we find the median of those. Hey, for the first half, it's 75. For the second half, it's 95. I need a number line that goes from the min to the max. The min is 60, the max is 105. I'm gonna go to 60 to 105, counting by 5s.
I did 60.
60 to 110, count by 10s as well too, that would work. Okay.
I just
The box goes from Q1 to Q3. The box goes from Q1 to Q3, so 75 to 95. The median in this case is 85, so a tick mark on 85. The whiskers are 60 and 105. Connect those to the box, and you are done. All right, I started off this class saying that we're gonna make a box and whiskers plot, and I said the hardest thing is to wrap your head now around how many numbers are inside of Q1. For any box and whiskers plot, how many numbers are inside of box? Any box and whiskers plot, how many numbers are inside of Q1?
Depends on how many
4.
numbers.
Yeah, but you can say
4.
how many numbers are inside any Q1.
1/4.
1/4 of the numbers, 25%. Eyeballs up here. Eyeballs up here. 25% of all of the numbers, 25% of all the numbers are inside of Q1. Malachi, how many numbers are inside of Q2?
2.
Well, maybe for this particular one, but for any box and whiskers plot in general, how many numbers are inside of Q2? 25% are in Q1. How many are in Q2? 25%. Macy, how many are in Q3? 25% are in Q1. 25% are in Q2. How many are in Q3? 25%. All right, who's got the last one?
Oh, me 25%. Oh,
no, it's 37.
All right. That is the hardest thing for 7. I mean, look at the box and whisker plot. It doesn't visually appear. I mean, the whisker right here is way longer than the other parts.
No,
Anybody want to take a guess why that this whisker is so long?
because
It didn't grow.
Why is this whisker so long but the other parts are small?
because it
There.
grows faster.
It's because there's more numbers in between than
What do you mean by more numbers in between?
like there's like more spaces throughout the numbers.
Maybe the spread?
Yeah, the spread.
And give me an example of spread. Like, give me 2 numbers that have spread.
11 and 15.
Okay, so give me the numbers on the other side of 11, 15 that don't have spread.
18 and 19.
Okay, so you chose the other side. So you went 11, 15, 18, 19. Notice the spread here is 1, the spread here is 3, and the spread here is 4. That's what's going to cause either any of these parts here to elongate, right? The whisker is really long. Oh, by the way, let's just say this was test scores. Hey, I did a box and whiskers plot of our recent test. This is actually pretty good, right? Who got the lowest score? Eleanor?
I'm still not.
Okay, Elizabeth, sorry.
60. So, or you could say like another word for it would be a larger range.
Agreed. Who got the lowest score on the test?
Me.
No, not literally. What? Oh, better question. What was the lowest score on the test?
0, such as me.
I asked one person. 6. Who got the highest score?
Wasn't it?
You did. What'd you get on the test? All right, you got this. Hey, what was the average score on the test? You said
Probably most
85.
likely the class would be like a 75 or something.
You gotta say a little bit slower.
Most likely the average of the test scores was like a 75 or something.
Okay, anybody want to make an argument against that? What do you got?
Isn't it 85 because it's median?
85 is the median. So the average score in the class was a good score, bad score, what?
It's average.
Pretty good score, right? 85. So what you can't say is, notice how big the box is. The box goes from 75 to 95. That's half, 50% of people scored between a 75 and a 95. 50% of the people scored between a 75 and a 95. That's pretty good. Questions on box and whiskers? We are out of time. Count it up.
The video's almost an hour long.
It's way over there.
I just had a quick, I know this isn't homework for today, but for 6 and 8, when you have like a one, no, 5. When you have a 1-digit number,
You put a 0 in front of it. So the stem would be the 0.
okay, thank you.
Jaden, hey, make sure when you're asking questions, you talk a little bit slower. It just doesn't come over really well.
Okay. I'm sorry.
And I also need to attach your page. I'll attach your pages sometime today. Okay, so you can do your homework.
Just realized that I don't have a camera on my computer, so I can't take a picture of the assignment.
You just realize you don't have a what, a camera? Is that what you said?
So, Grandma's here, there might be technology I can use.
The homework that was due
Jaden, you can also just type things in if you'd like.
Yeah, but my computer likes to glitch out sometimes.
Yeah. But you've sent me some chat, so you could just send me the answers as a chat. Now, obviously, you can't attach pictures if you don't have a camera, but if you just want to type in the answers, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr.
Any other
Chartier,
questions?
I'm the grandma. I have a cell phone. Is there any way we can take a picture of something and text it or send it by email?
No.
Absolutely, positively. That's a good idea as well.
Thank you. We'll work
All right.
on this. It's a little, I'm not very good with the Zoom yet, but we're gonna try and get better at getting her
All
caught
right,
up on homework.
you guys are
Thank
doing
you.
fine. It's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
See ya.